Hello, everyone, and welcome to Your Mind, Your Reality, Your Results, a weekly live show where I speak with an expert in the subject of mindset so you can change your mindset and ultimately get the amazing results that you want in your life. I am so glad to be welcoming Brenda to the show today. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. It's exciting to be here.
Well, you guys are going to love this, so I just hope you can stay tuned and join in with the show. If we haven't met yet, my name is Leah Fink. I'm the owner and founder of All Thrive, and I help protect people from the pain of damaged relationships. If you ever want to know more about that, I would love to connect, so please reach out. However, today we obviously have a guest with a ton of expertise, and you guys won't want to miss this. So please do feel free as we're going through today, comment, ask your questions. Even if you're watching us and we are not live anymore, if you put those comments and questions in, we can make sure to get back to you with some wonderful answers. So to start off, Brenda, I love inviting people to share a little bit about how you got to, the expertise and the place you are at right now.
Yeah, it's a bit of a sordid story. I spent about 25 years in the C-suite. So I was a chief financial officer, chief executive officer, mostly working with entrepreneurs. Burnt out, got to the point in my career where I was burning out. I was getting that internal message that this isn't for me, have to get out of it. Kept ignoring it because the paycheck was too good to walk away from. So the choice was taken away from me one day when I was out skiing and I caught an edge and I fell 3,000 feet down a mountain. And it took me 5 years to recover. I couldn't work. I couldn't play. I could barely walk. If I walked from my living room to my kitchen, I had to rest in the dining room. It was interesting challenge. One of the most productive times of my life, though, because it was in that sitting by myself on the couch. The only person I had to talk to or think about was me. And that's where the real awakening happened for me, is really realizing that there's just so much more to life. When I came out of that, looking back on it, I realized that my physical body healed in about 2 years. I could walk normally again. The pain was more or less under control. It took me another 3 years to get out of that because I was stuck emotionally. I was stuck in that, what the hell happened to my life? Like, I liked my life. Why is it gone? That anger around that, disgust at what my body would and wouldn't do for me. And, fear around how am I going to support myself, sad around my relationships, leaving all of those contracting emotions that kept me stuck in that place. And at that time, I didn't have any emotional management skills. I didn't know how to move around that. And so in reflection, I came out of that and I started a company called UEQ, which really blends with Awakening Consciously. And that was I think I started Awakening Consciously in 2015. Awakening Consciously was kind of in the background all the way, even through my corporate career. I used the energy body, the chakra system, meditation, even back in 2001, 2002, before anybody thought it had any significance to it. It was really crazy stuff at that time. But so I've been doing this for a long time.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing your story. I can't imagine what that was like. And what I love is you just articulated really one of the reasons that I chose this topic for this show is the idea of, your physical body healed, and what really limited you was your mind and your emotions around it. And
absolutely,
what you talk about, what we're going to be discussing today, which is so powerful, is how much we can control when we can understand that part of ourselves and that part of our mind. So do you want to start by kind of defining, the title magic? Might mean a lot of different things to people. We're not talking rabbits out of hats. How would you describe this?
Yeah, maybe we're talking rabbits out of hats. I don't know.
Maybe
it could all be related. What I have discovered through my own experience and the work that I've done with other people is that as human beings, we are filled with magic. We think that magic and miracles are some rare and random event. and that we couldn't be farther from the truth. We have got magic that is our birthright, and it lives in us, but most of us don't know how to open it up, how to let it out. And that's where the conscious awakening comes in, is when you become aware of the magic that's living inside you, of the power that you have to actually control every single aspect of your life. Then magic and miracles are abundant. You become a magnet that just attracts those to you. There's no work involved in it. It's easy, it's fun, it's a flow. When you can really tap into that, life takes on a whole different meaning.
Wow. And, obviously we don't want everyone to have to have gone through what you did in order to
do it the easy way.
Put it out that no one who's watching is going to have to go through that. So how do people start accessing that, knowing that most people come from this space of maybe not believing, having a hard time, listening to you right now, being a little skeptical and going, I can't start that.
Yeah. And, it's funny, the timing of this. When I started this journey, the energy on the planet was moving much slower than it is now. And this is a scientific fact that the Earth is traveling through a photon belt right now that it happens every 12,000 years, I think. Once every 12,000 years, we go through this. And in that time frame, there's always a leap in evolution. And we are in the midst of it right now. So when I say that time is speeding up, this is scientific, and this is not just, a figure of speech, but, we've seen it through the last 2 years of the collapse of everything, and opportunities and things coming and things going. Every day is a different day as we wake up. So I say that because when I was going through this, it was a slug. It was a slug. Everybody thought I was nuts. My kids thought I was nuts. My friends thought I was nuts. Most of them tolerated me, but I couldn't talk to anybody about it because they just thought I was crazy. And I brought it into my corporate life, and I had to be really selective on who I introduced it to and how I introduced it. But I still use this with building my teams, optimizing every person in my life, from my kids to my team members. I use these strategies, and I wouldn't call them chakra system or chakra work or things. I insisted that all of my companies, even back in 2000, that my companies had a meditation room. We called it a quiet room. So they called it a quiet room. I called it a meditation room, but things like that. And so it was hard getting through it back then. Now it's not hard. For one thing, people are waking up. Like the last 2 years has woken up like 70% of the planet. People are by waking up, I mean, they're opening their eyes to something new. They're going, wow, there's got to be something better than this. I don't want to spend 15 hours at work. I like being around to feed my kids breakfast. I like, watching their hockey games. I don't want to go back to what I was doing. And so this has led to, this is a big crisis on the planet right now. It's led to what they're calling the Great Resignation. People are just resigning and saying, I'll figure it out. And so there is this huge momentum that really all you have to do is have the courage to take the first step, and it will sweep you up and take you along. There's so many resources that people use in some way, shape, or form. For me, I've always worked with the energy body and the chakra system, and it addresses every single realm of life. It is our existence. And so if you're not familiar with the energy body, it is, you've got your physical body. Most people understand the physical. You got the mental body. Some people actually can gather what that's about. And that is your mindset, and that they don't understand the power of that, but they understand that the mind exists. When they talk about the emotional body, it's something that people would rather sweep under the rug historically. What people would rather not even acknowledge. I can't tell you how many times in corporate I was told, business place is no place for emotions. I'm going, are you kidding me? And I've said to the CEOs, oh, so you've never felt angry at work? Well, yeah, I have. Have you never been excited about a deal coming together for you? Well, yeah, I've done that. Have you never been frustrated when it doesn't come together? Yeah. And I said, those are emotions. Like, those are emotions. And if you're not owning them, they're owning you. So, do you want to take control of them, or do you want them to control you? That's what emotional intelligence is about. And the emotional intelligence just weaves in perfectly with the energy body, because each one of the chakras is either balanced or knocked off balance by emotions.
Yeah.
So I think that the emotion, and I learned this from my recovery, is that emotions can hijack any aspect of our life at any time. So somebody close to you, your spouse or one of your children or your parents, die and you're hijacked. Like, if you don't know how to manage that grief and the anger or whatever comes along with it, now the tail's wagging the dog. Now your emotions are in control and you're just along for some kind of crazy ride on it. So I could talk about this forever.
No, I mean, I love it. I'm completely on the same wavelength as you. Thinking about the Great Resignation and this piece of people not feeling they can be real at work, not feeling that connectedness is a big piece. I mean, I've worked with companies, and the cure to the Great Resignation is not just saying, okay, we have to be remote now and that. It's like, what are the employees feeling? Why? Like, what is the need behind them wanting to stay home? Okay, can we meet that need? Can they understand their values? I once had some people tell us that, oh, no, personal values don't really matter in the workplace. Those don't really come into play. I'm going, really? Like, you don't think that you're a person at work, that you care about different things? And I love what you're saying, because being able to access that, being able to talk about it openly without, you don't, like you said, you don't need to use chakra language. You can use something that people might be more comfortable with. But the reality is, people have emotions, they have values, they bring their whole selves to work. And when you embrace that, that is the power piece. And I know you're going to be talking a little bit more about power. Is that
tapping into that power?
Yeah.
And and just to touch on the history that you talked about, is those things of emotions don't belong at work, and you don't have values, and you just come and do your work, and work exists here and life exists here. That went out with the baby boomers. Like, that's, and I'm one of them. So I know that was a baby boomer philosophy. And it was actually the later baby boomers that coined the phrase work-life balance. Like, we have to bring these into balance. But the new generations that are now up into the leadership positions are going, there's no separation. There's not work and life. There's life. And work is an aspect of life. And, you either deal with the whole of me, or I go down the street and I get a job somewhere else. So we have to address the whole person now, which is just a brilliant step in evolution for us.
Yeah. Well, I love it. And one of the pieces too, I think a lot of people associate work-life balance with, time on, time off, make sure you're not overworking. But when you also see it as this whole person mentality, that's actually where the self-care can happen, because you recognize, first of all, that people do need that time off and separate. You're able to set different boundaries, but you're able to also create this psychological safety for them in the workplace where they can be that person. And you get more of them. You get a better person.
And the science, the studies will prove that out every single time. The other part of work-life balance that I was just talking with somebody this morning about this is, and I've always said to people, the 80-20 rule is really great. So if you like 80% of your job and 20% you just have to do to get the 80%, that's ideal. But I've always said, I always do the 50-50 as a starting point. If 50% of the time at work you're doing something that you love, that really warms you up, then you're on the right path. You can work towards the 80. If you're down below that 50 mark, it's time to look for something else. This is your soul calling from you, saying, this is not a fit. This is not what we're here to do. And so many people, myself included, will just ignore that, shove it aside, ignore it, push on, burn out, become really ineffective at my job. As I recovered, I had to take time, stress, leave time off, push on, come back, push on. 2 years later, I'm burnt out again. I did that 2 or 3 times, and then I say I was thrown down the mountain. That's what really got my attention and got me out doing when I'm on this path with the energy body, with the emotional intelligence, this just warms my heart. This, like, and I'm still not getting paid through it. Like, I'm still in that startup, even though we've been in it for 5 years. I'm still building. All the funds are going back into the company. And so that's a real marker for me. If I'm willing to do something without getting paid for doing it, then eventually I have to get paid. But if I'm willing to do it and not get paid for it, that's talking to my soul. So I look with my CFO job, I said it fed my body, but it starved my soul. This one's feeding my soul, but starving my body. I got to get a balance in there. But
I do think it's a really important thing to acknowledge, because I have heard people, say before it, everyone says follow your passions, yada yada yada. I have to put food on the table. I've got my kids to take care of. I'm not going to focus on this woo-woo stuff right now. And one of the things I would encourage people to do, and Jessica has joined us, thanks for joining, and she says dynamite. I agree. This is dynamite, because even if you're aware that your life circumstance right now is not that you can up and change your job, you can still discover this energy. We can explore it, and it can bring power to multiple points in your life. It doesn't have to be just job-based. No. Right? Like, this alignment that you're talking about is beyond the tasks that we do, but actually how you approach the world. It's holistic.
And I tell people, and part of what I teach through the energy body is vibration. And people are starting to understand that this is the great awakening that has come around, is people are starting to understand that their mindset, their emotions, they all feed into the level at which you're vibrating. And this is an energetic, like, they can test your vibration. This is not woo-woo, sounds woo-woo, but there is actually science behind this. There's a book written, where I first came across this was a book by Stephen Hawkins, I think it was, Power versus Force, where they actually measured every emotion and what level it vibrated on. And so there is science behind it. But I tell people, just become a vibration seeker. Don't be a subject seeker. Be a vibration. Like, don't go after the money or the paycheck or the promotion or the relationship. Go after the vibration. Do what you need to do to raise your vibration up, because that's when you become a magnet for anything that you desire. It's not, your vibration isn't specific to this or that. When you can get purely up at a high vibratory state, you become a magnet for everything. You decide, oh, I want this, it appears. And I want a new job, it appears. You think about, oh, I really don't want this to happen, it appears. And, it was so funny. Yesterday, I had these micro moments where I was doing filling out an email campaign. It was like setting up an automation. And I thought, wow, there's an and or toggle switch that you had to push. And it has to be on and for it to work right. And I thought, wow, I remember when I did that backwards and this crazy result that came from it. And I'm not, I don't want to do that again. Well, I tested the campaign, and I actually went live with the campaign, and it sent out this random emails that were not supposed to come out. And I looked at it, I had pushed the or button had gotten turned on. And it's things like that. Like, I'm at that level with my vibration. It isn't like this with everybody, but I've done this for so many years that when I have a thought like that, it happens. And if it's a negative thought or a contracting thought like that one was, it happens. It doesn't care about, it's agnostic to what we deem positive, negative. It responds to our thoughts. And that just showed me, man, I have to really police my thoughts at a higher level than I ever have before. But that's how quickly, like, if I say, oh, I really want to go to Hawaii, where's the money going to come from? Something happens. A client comes in, somebody pays a loan back, because I got so many loans that are out there. Somebody will say, oh, here, I have a payment for you. Great. I'm going to go to Hawaii with it. But these are the things that this is the magic that lives inside of us, that we have. Most people have no idea the power and the depth of that. So that's what I do.
Well, I love it. And, that piece about what you put out right? The thought of this is
Yeah.
going to happen or this will never happen, that low piece is so true. And you talked about vibration specifically, that the higher vibration is going to attract whatever you put out. How do people start tuning in into their
Well,
own higher vibration?
it's an awareness thing. And I use a couple of different tools. I teach around the energy body. I've got evergreen courses up there that just start to educate people on the power of the chakra system, how to bring those chakras back into alignment, how to bring their energy body, which is their life, into balance. How to, it will address everything from your safety, security, your finances, all the way up through, your emotions, your definition of self, that authenticity, that, who am I? Who do I want to be aspect, the love of self, the love, giving and receiving of love, I'm going up through them, the voice, finding your voice, because so many of us are afraid to speak our truth. We don't know our truth. If you haven't properly defined yourself and stepped into your own personal power, then then you can't fall in love with yourself, because your heart knows that you're being inauthentic. So you really have to get clear on who am I here to be, who do I want to be me with. You have to get really clear on those things, because as soon as you're being authentic with yourself and you've got integrity with yourself, you can't help but fall in love with that person. I mean, there's things about you that you're not going to like, but overall you just have a great sense of love and compassion for yourself. And then it's a lot easier from that point to reach out and bring love in from another person. But you can't, until you know who you are and you love who you are, you can't authentically find your voice and take it out. So we work in all of those things, all of those areas, and they're really like clearly one chakra at a time, building up through what we call the ladder of 7. The last 2 are that third eye, which is opening up your intuition, your imagination, your connection to a broader sense of that bigger world. And then in the crown, of course, which is at the top of the head, it's that connection to all that is. It's that connection to source. It's where you get that guidance. You call in the angelic realms, the guides, all of those, supernatural woo-woo type people that we can call in and get guidance for. When people start to do it, even if they don't believe in it and they have the courage to take a step in that direction and try it, they're going, wow, I asked for this and this showed up. And then they start the evidence. It's an evidence-based thing. Then I did this happened. Great. I'm going to try it again. I did this. That happened. That's really cool. And then they start to do that. And as you just open up your body to something new, you tap into your personal power, you define yourself, you start to love yourself, and your whole world changes. And that's the magic. And that's where miracles will show up.
That's fantastic. And I think that Jessica might be a bit of an expert in this as well, because she says the book is Power versus Force by David R. Hawkins.
David Hawkins. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica.
Yeah. It is. It's a very good book.
Excellent. Well, I'll have to check it out. And, I'm wondering, the best way that people can do this is obviously working with a professional like yourself and going through this whole exploration. But even for listeners who are maybe starting this journey, they want to take the first step, they're not quite ready for that. Do you have a really simple practice that you could give people, or,
so a couple of things. I have got a series of books up on Amazon. They're like $9 or something, $8.99 each or something. And there's one called Awakening Consciously. And then there's a series of 8, and they work with the energy body. The first one is harnessing the chakra system or something. And then I actually have them right here. And then there's one for each of the chakras, and they're workbooks. So my approach to this is they're all intentional journals. So they're not a book where I'm giving you a whole dump of information. I give you a little bit of information, but the magic in those books is I ask real probing questions that you then take in and sit with yourself and look deep within, and you come up with your own answers on them. So that's your magic surfacing. That's your magic coming out. And so there's, there's probably 9 books up on Amazon that are relevant to this. There's other ones that touch on it. I've got a book on getting to the root of your financial greatness, which really delves into creating financial flow in your life. And I've got a whole bunch more that I have to get up there, but they're all in that same style of intentional journals. Other than the Awakening Consciously book is just a tour through the chakra system and it's more of a text heavy book. Still really good stories and stuff in there. So that's a good way to do that. But the other way is I always encourage people to meditate. I mean, you'll see that I've got a meditation for every one of the chakras. They're on the Awakening Consciously website, but also on that site. And I think I've given you a link for the app. So I've got an app out there, and the only thing on that app, it's a free download. The only thing on there is the very first meditation that I did. And it was given to me, like it came through me. And when I was a CFO still and then at one point I did it with myself and I had profound results from it. But then at one point I got this message that said, it's time to put it out or to get it out there. I'm going, what does that even mean? Like, what does a CFO know about this? Back in 2008, where, iTunes didn't even exist, I don't think. And there weren't the options that we have today. So I did find a way to produce an actual physical CD, and I gave it out as almost like business cards. I didn't know what to do with it once I got it there. Here, try this. And I gave it to one young kid that had such a profound experience with it. Everybody I gave it to got back to me, and a lot of them with profound experiences. But he had a really profound experience, and he decided the whole world needed this. So he put it up on a torrent site, which is basically pirated music at that time, pirated music that people downloaded for free. And then I discovered that, and I reached out to him and said, hey, like, what's going on here? I didn't really care, but what's going on here? And we had a nice chat about that. And he said to me, now that I know you're not mad, I want to tell you about this. He said, I put all kinds of music up there, and I have never had anybody email me. He said, my email has been burning up since I put that out there. People saying, who is this? Where do I find more? How do I contact her? And he said it was the top download for the first 2 weeks and downloaded over 40,000 times. This is back in 2008 when downloads were just almost unheard of. And so then he said, do you want me to put your name on it? And I said, yeah, I might as well. And so he put my name out there, and I started getting all of these emails from around the world on these profound healing experiences that people had just putting this on and going to sleep. Like, you don't have to find time to meditate. You put it on, you go to sleep, it hits the subconscious mind, and it heals starts to bring those chakras into balance. And so that's it's on my website under the app link, on Awakening Consciously /app. But I think I've given the link, but it's free. People can try it. They can love to hear from them if they do. Like, I'd love to hear. I collect experiences from people because that's what really feeds my soul on this. So, and then besides for that, on the website, you'll see courses on emotions, mindset, all different levels of things. On the mindset piece, there's a tool that we use that changes your brain from a negative to a positive orientation in 3 minutes. Like, you look at a video for 3 minutes and it changes your brain. And this is scientific. There's science behind this. It changes your brain for 8 hours. And it makes such a huge difference in the day. And it's just 3 minutes. So there's little tools like that. All of these are pretty easy strategies that don't require a ton of time. And so there's a lot of things that people can do that's self-directed. And then I do coaching, and I run, live programs, group coaching, all of those different options are there as well.
Awesome. Well, and if people are interested too, of course, in the description, we have your website, and we do have the link to that app. That meditation sounds amazing. What cool success to have gone from this, illegal download site to reaching 40,000.
It was the best marketing. It was the best market exposure I could have gotten, and I never would have gotten there on my own. So I I was never angry at him because I didn't. This was always a passion project. It started out as a passion project,
Yeah.
but I thought, darn. But most of those people that took it for free wouldn't have paid for it anyways. But huge validation for me that there was something to this that was beyond. Again, you're talking about the magic. This came from a place deep within me that I wasn't even aware of, and it is magical. The impact of it, and this is evidenced by all of the testimonials that I've gotten. There's some magic to it that came from a higher place than me.
Amazing. Well, like I said, I can't wait to hear it. I certainly hope everyone else goes and has a listen. And we're unfortunately at our time. It has flown by, but I just want to thank you so much for your time and generosity in sharing this with us today.
Thank you. Always love to share it. So it's always a joy to do these.
Excellent.
So thank you for having me on.
Oh, well, very much our pleasure. I hope our audience enjoyed it. Thank you for joining us, Jessica. I'll look forward to seeing you all next week. And remember, every thought counts.
Absolutely.